Hello world, I go by the name of Joffey Joe, and this is the show, Call It How I See It. And on today's episode, I got a couple of teams I want to talk to you all about. First and foremost, it's March Madness, people, and I have the right guy to talk about it. I have a guest that's coming on to the show for the first time. He goes by the name of John Petrokowski, and we're going to break down what's happened so far in the March Madness tournament and what to expect going forward. Secondly, it's opening day, people. Man, it's such a time to be alive right now. It's really such a time to be alive. But MLB is starting back up, and the way the things ended with the Phillies last year, I'm here to talk about the Phillies this year and what I expect out of them this year and what to expect going forward with other teams that they might have a problem with. So, you don't want to miss out on this action-packed episode. All right, and we have a special guest on Call It How I See It, my good friend that I've met over, recently, but still a very good friend of mine, very knowledgeable, very resourceful, and I'm glad to have him on the show. I introduce everyone to John Petrokowski. How you doing, Johnny?
Very good, Joe. Very good. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Absolutely. I'm excited to do this. Something we talked about and, planning about for a little bit of time, and now we're able to, sit down and do this. So, I have you on because I need your expertise, and I need your expertise in a certain little area, and that's the March Madness tournament. So far this year, it's been pretty good. We haven't seen too many upsets for the most part. It's been really good competitive basketball, and some blowouts along the way. But this is why I have you here, and you are the man when it comes to this. So I want to start off things with what do you think is the biggest takeaway so far that you've seen from the tournament?
The biggest upset, Joe. I'm sorry, what?
No, biggest takeaway. Like out of everything that's happened, yeah.
Yeah, there's been some upsets.
Yes.
Buzzer beaters at the shot, at the clock. No real Cinderella teams.
No
Cinderella. No 16 speaking to one or something like that.
Right.
But you've had games like Mackenzie State. Really, I felt bad for them. Good program. Colorado State.
That was another good
heartbreaker at the buzzer.
I know.
And you really feel for these kids, and they put everything into a 4-month period of the year, and it's heartbreaking to lose. It's one thing if you get blown out in a game,
right? But
to lose a heartbreaker by a point or two, that's tough.
No, for sure. I mean, you work so hard all year to get to this point, and collectively, you're basically like family at this point, and then to get to this level and to lose like that, it is definitely heartbreaking. Yep. I guess there's one Cinderella out there, just one, and I guess they're from Fayetteville, Arkansas, with John Calipari and his squad. I mean, I was pretty surprised when they beat St. John's. I don't think anybody really saw that coming. That was that was quite mind-blowing.
When John Calipari faced Patino,
yes,
they're two Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Might never see that again.
I love Patino.
Yeah.
He's great. But there's a game there for you, right, Joe, since you brought it up.
Yes.
I like Arkansas. I really do.
Yes,
and I like them to beat Texas Tech.
Yeah, I do too. I think Texas Tech, they've been really quiet, not really in the main light of things.
Yes.
I mean, they got J.D. Toppin. He's a pretty good player. But It seems like Arkansas, they're just clicking right now. And I almost feel like Calipari, at some sense, kind of want to, a revenge tour. Just being in Arkansas, the way things ended in Kentucky and stuff. So who knows, man? Maybe he has another run with them. I mean, taking them to this level, no one really thought this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And really, they're like the last Cinderella left. And
with the start that they had, Joe.
No, for sure.
They were 5 in the conference.
I know, they felt so far behind.
Storming back.
Yes.
When you got a knowledgeable coach like Calipari leaving a story program in Kentucky, it was just time for him to go.
Yeah.
And look what he's done in a year. Amazing.
I know.
Truly amazing.
It really is. It's some of his best work. He's always good at taking less and bringing the best out of it, and that's just what he's always done his whole career, most of it. So you definitely got to give him kudos. So next up, since there's not many underdogs this weekend, I mean, you're going into effect. We were just talking about Arkansas and possibly even BYU lighting up with Alabama.
Right.
I kind of like Kentucky against Tennessee. I mean, I
love Kentucky.
Yes, I do. I mean, it's tough to beat somebody 3 times a year. It really is. But I really like Kentucky. It seems like they remodeled their team and where they're at right now. I like that matchup. Do you think there's anything out there?
Barnes is a heck of a coach too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Barnes is a Hall of Fame coach, but he's been around a long time. But Mark Pope's a new coach who actually played for Calipari.
Yeah.
Back then in the '90s, is doing a heck of a job.
No, for
Heck of
sure.
a job. And they got some stallions on that team. They can play.
No,
They
for
really
sure.
can, up and down the court. Nobody wants to face Kentucky this time of year. Nobody.
No, for sure.
They're a tough team.
They are. They're definitely rolling on all cylinders, and especially with this big momentum buildup they got going on. I definitely like them against Tennessee. Tennessee's like I don't know. They played good. That whole SEC's been really good this year. I was really surprised with how good they've been, even with Alabama still around and Auburn still there too. I guess that's that's part of the reason why they ended up being number one seeds. But I think Alabama, like we were talking about the BYU matchup. Also, Auburn kind of a little shaky too. I mean, I think I don't know. Like I feel like in my heart, since what I've seen so far, ever since Cooper Flag came back, I really like Duke, man. They've been rolling pretty good. I mean, they beat the last team by 23 points, the first team by 44. I really like where they're going. I mean, if I was to say I like that, I like their chances the best.
Yeah. Well, I think the BYU game, Joe.
Yeah.
I like BYU to cover the first half.
Okay.
I like them to cover the first half, and then I think they'll get blown out the second half. That's what I think. I think BYU hangs on them. And like I said, that over 173 and a half, they could easily score 200 points in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, BYU averaged, I think, 84 to 86 points a game.
Right.
And they could really go up and down the court. And they could go in anyway. But I think the maturity later is going to outlast, and then I think they get blown out in the second half.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Alabama, I mean, we all know about what they've done for most of their resume. I mean, I was looking into this too. BYU's been playing good ball. I think they won the last 11 of their 12 games.
Yep.
And then I think Alabama's, I mean, they beat Auburn the one game, but they've been 6-5 in their last 11 games. So they've been a little shaky. We saw them have a little rough start with number 15 seed Robert Morris and stuff. But so we'll see how that kind of breaks down. Out of these number one seeds, I don't know, do you think any of these guys might get taken down this weekend? Between Auburn or Houston playing Purdue.
Believe it or not, Joe, I think Duke. I don't think the Duke makes the Final Four.
Really? Wow.
That's my opinion. I think they. I shouldn't say. Cooper Flag is an amazing player.
Right.
He's
generational talent.
He played at Montford Academy.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, he played for a friend of mine, Kevin Boyle.
Okay.
Who was a good friend, and Cooper Flag is the real deal. He could do it all.
Right.
Dunking left, dunking right-handed, great passer.
Defense-wise too, he's a clamp. He's really the total package.
He could get in some foul trouble there too.
Yes, I've noticed that too. He has got aggressive.
He's got a little bit of a temper.
Yeah.
But that's the ego in him, and not the ego, I should say. That's the fire in him, Joe.
Yeah.
That likes to go. But he's got to be careful not to get in foul trouble.
No, for sure.
The four guys around him that play with him, excellent ball players too.
Yeah.
And they got a pretty good. But they only go about 7 deep. So to get Flag and Cooper in foul trouble, they have to watch.
They definitely will have to watch. I mean, it's definitely something we're gonna have to keep an eye for. I mean, Arizona's no slouch. I mean, they worked hard to get where they are right now too. I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not totally sold on John Shire either. Still a young coach kind of feeling things out in a tournament run. Never really been on a good tournament run. They had an okay run last year, but what's expected of this team this year, it's kind of put up or shut up with this type of roster and team they do.
That Arizona Duke game.
Yes.
The total opened up at 151.5. It's gone up to 153.5.
Okay.
Now, we only see 2 points, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think Arizona could stay with them for the first half.
Yeah.
But they got some more players.
Right.
I think in the end, though, Duke pulls away and beats it. But that 8.5 is a large number.
No, for sure.
It's a large number, but it's going to be right at that point. I think Arizona covers the first half, but Duke will probably wind up winning 11 to 13 points at the end. They'll have to get Arizona will have to foul them, and it's probably a double-digit win for Duke.
Yeah, I can see that breaking it down like that. Like I said, Arizona's no slouch, but I mean, I think the better team will pull away in that game.
Right.
All right. So finally, I just want to ask you. So with what's left in the tournament in this big pool, who do you think is going to take it all, Johnny?
Florida.
You think Florida? I think so.
I really like Florida.
I do too.
Joe, they have their 5 starters. 3 of them right now are NBA players.
Yeah, they're
big.
Yeah.
They're strong.
Yes.
They have a good guard.
Yeah.
Their forwards are very aggressive.
Yeah.
And they come after you. And they got away with one the other day.
I know.
But, I felt bad for Connecticut. And Danny Hurley, you can see that he poured his heart into it.
Yeah, he's getting fired up for that.
It shows the emotion that these kids go through, and coaches.
No, for sure.
But in the end, I think it's Florida, Joe. That's my opinion.
I think that's a good bet, honestly. I think what they've done with the program has really been good. And like you said, like their wings, their guards, they're all
Yep.
hitting their shots. They're doing everything they need to play great collective basketball. I
Right.
mean, I don't see them having any problem with Maryland, honestly. I think
No.
they're going to brush right by them. I think Maryland really pulled a rabbit out the hat, even beating Colorado State. But
It was no rabbit, wasn't it?
yeah, it was, honestly. But, you know, the tournament, man, it's like stuff we can't expect and the randomness. But
Yep.
I like Florida a lot. I almost expect Florida and Duke to duke it out. But we'll that's what I kind of thought was going to happen, but you know, we'll see how things break down. Like we know, you never know with this tournament. So
Never know, Joe.
and true too. I mean, back to what a little bit of Duke. I mean, we're not even sure if Coop's been playing really good and like you said, been aggressive. But like, who knows? Maybe he's not even 100% yet. Like I mean, he looks good, but sometimes even with more time, like some things can aggravate and tweak and stuff like that.
Joe, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think his ankle is totally healed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
when
kind
you
of
get
see him.
tremendous trainers like they have, Joe,
Yeah,
they say he might have a small hairline fracture.
Yeah.
You don't even know. And if they're watching his minutes,
yeah,
because when you're up by 20 or 30 points, you got to take him out of the game.
yeah.
But let's see how he does against the big boys.
No, for sure. I mean, things are gonna get tougher, so we'll see what's really. He's got the heart of a champion. But Johnny, I appreciate you coming on my show and dropping your knowledge.
Anytime for you, Joseph.
Absolutely. And until next time, and we'll keep an eye on how things break down for the tournament.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
Have a good night.
And we're back. And you know what else is back? Baseball season is back. Yes, opening day. And the Philadelphia Phillies will be squaring off with the Washington Nationals today. And I'll be tuned in. Yes, I'm excited to watch, for sure. I'm very optimistic about this year. I mean, given how things ended last year, losing to the damn New York Mets, I'm still optimistic. I mean, for the most part, as we look at this roster, we see a Bryce Harper that's 33 years old. We see a Trey Turner that's 33 years old. We see a JT Realmuto who is 34. We see most of the core players more towards the back end prime of their career. So we'll see how most of those guys deliver over time. We're also facing decisions to do with this batting order. Okay, so from my understanding, there's gonna be some switches with left-handed and right-handed pitching. Whether Trey Turner is going to be the leadoff hitter or Kyle Schwarber will be the leadoff hitter, seems like this lineup is subject to change. So we'll see how that goes over time. For the most part, though, like I said, we're still intact. We are built like a team from 2010, 2009 because of Dave Dombrowski's mindset of paying, and having to, deal with what's going on. I did hear him speak in spring training. Dombrowski had an interesting thing that I wanted to highlight, that he felt when they had their run with the wild card team that went to the World Series, they caught fire. When they lost the year after, they just had a collapse in the back end of the bullpen. And last year, he kind of just tipped his cap to the New York Mets being the hot team that the Phillies were 2 years prior and had a good run, even though they were put out by the Los Angeles Dodgers, who eventually won the World Series and who also eventually bought half of Japan to be on their team. That's just where we're at. Also, too, let's not forget about the Atlanta Braves. Okay, they're going to get their two best players back sometime during this summer, and MVP player Acuna, and also Spencer Strider. So we'll see where they're at. Their lineup is still really good with Olsen and Albies and everybody on their team. They're a formidable foe, and they've done it. They've gone through it. So our division's gonna be tough. There's definitely a three-head horse race here, and where I see us in it, I'm just going to have to be honest. I mean, we're all looking at things on paper right now, so I can't really tell you. I really can't. But on paper, if we were to get the maximum amount of our players that we pay a lot of money to, I think our team would be very good, honestly. I mean, we won 95 games last year. We won the division for the first time in almost over 10 years. We definitely hit high marks, but it definitely went flat when things got real in the postseason. So I saw a lot of things last postseason against the Mets. It felt like it could have been a series, but I also felt like some players didn't step up. I mean, we could point the fingers at a lot of people. We could point the finger at Alec Baum. We could point the finger at Bryson Stott. We can point the finger at Bryce Harper. We can put the finger at other people that we thought were going to step up and do their thing and really didn't contribute the way we thought they were. Kyle Schwarber's another one. I do have to give Nick Castellanos a pass because he came through in big moments when we needed to, even though it came up short. But, things broke down like that. And, I mean, at the end of the day, as much as I was just clowning on Dombrowski, he does have some merit to what he said in that comment about the Mets playing their best ball at that time. And we just lost to a team that was playing better ball. But, disappointment did settle in, and especially since you go from the World Series to the NLCS to the divisional round, you're taking notches back, and these guys are getting older, like I iterated, and we have only a short window of time left to really decipher if this team can really win. Honestly, I don't want to say this could be the last year, but you got to kind of win. You got to kind of show up and do your job, and show why you're worth this money, Trey Turner, and even Bryce Harper, who's looking to get an extension for his $325 million contract. So we'll see how things break down. But for the most part, I do trust in Rob Thompson. Like I said, on paper, this team looks good. We should be a formidable team that at least makes a wild card seed or a wild card game. Like, I don't know who's going to win the division. But honestly, even with the Mets getting Soto, I'm not totally scared of them. They did pick up some other pieces. The one Holmes from the Yankees to be on their pitching staff and other stuff. And even bringing back, Alonso and stuff like that. So we'll see where they're at. I'm not really totally scared of them. They had their piece and taste of what playoff baseball is with their core that they have intact now. But we'll see how things break down. We will. And like I said, we still have to not count out Atlanta. But we'll see where they are in the season when they do decide to have Acuna and Spencer Strider rejoin their team at full strength. So we'll see how things break down. I think the true wild card for this season, the Phillies, actually is someone that's waiting in the wings, and Andrew Painter. So we all understand that he was out due to elbow surgery, and now he is getting better. And he's, from what I hear, from what I've been reading as well, he's got new pitches, and he's still hitting his mark with his velocity. So he is what we've been waiting for in the wings. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go with the season and how they want to incorporate him in the season. We'll see where Ranger Suarez is with his health conditions. I love Ranger, and when he's on top of his game and not being bothered by the injury bug, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, honestly. He has that type of stuff. He's very cool, tranquil, but we'll have to see how he holds up. I'm very excited about us having a Peruvian pitcher. I am. It's really cool. I'm actually getting his jersey, but I hope he doesn't look like Taijuan Walker, because he's been looking like Taijuan Walker this spring training, and that's Jesus Luzardo. We picked him up from the Marlins. He has great stuff. It's just a shame that he played on a really bad team, because his win-loss record would probably show out to be a lot better. But his ERA, his strikeouts, and that is one tidbit from this spring training, is he was striking people out. Given, yes, he had some hiccups and bad games, but he's still getting a feel for things, and he's also coming off an injury. So we'll see how he fits in. There's no pressure for him to be the best pitcher on the staff. So with this type of pitchers and rotation going on, it's not required. If anything, he can just be the fifth man on the rotation and see how things break down. A key component to the pitching staff that we have going that can go in the bullpen and also take up time, it's kind of going to be our Spencer Turnbull that we had last year until he got hurt. Joe Ross. Joe Ross has definitely been, a recognizable veteran. He's had good stuff. He's been consistent and not been on the IL too much during his career. So I definitely think he can definitely be that sixth man in and out of both sides and help definitely eat up a lot of innings, because that's what's going to be needed during a long season. 162 games is just crazy. It really is. But that's baseball, and, until they formulate other ideas for the games and how long they want to have the season, well, it's to be determined. But for this year, it's going to be a long year, and we're going to see how these guys hold up. For the most part, we didn't play our best ball at the end part after the All-Star break. I know September was kind of rough, but even playing like under 500, below average ball, we were able to clinch division because of the lead that we created. So we'll see how things go. I hope that last year doesn't trickle into this year. I almost feels like sometimes watching this lineup, we don't get to see the best of the lineup, or we haven't seen its full potential. Yes, we had that World Series run where a lot of things were happening, a lot of dingers and the Citizen Bank Park going crazy and everything. We all remember that. But I just want to see consistent hitting, honestly, like average. This is where Bryson Stott kicks in, or even Alec Bohm, honestly. And Alec Bohm messed up his elbow and wasn't really the same last year, because he was a great contact hitter, and playing third base, he made some plays too. So I actually think he is the true X factor to the Phillies this year. If he can get back to his all-star caliber level where he's hitting and making plays at third base, he can really help keep this team young since most of the core is in the back end of their career. But like he's really crucial. Him and even Bryson Stott at second base, just being consistent and being a contact hitter. Now I know projected wise, we're looking at Baum batting third or fourth depending on what the pitcher is that day. But I mean on the back end of things, to have Bryson Stott bat eighth, we're probably looking at him batting eighth and Brandon Marsh playing batting ninth. It's going to be important to see how things break down on the back end of this order, and it's gonna be interesting. I mean, we do have Aiden Miller in the wings. I know that kid's ready. J.P. Crawford's pretty good. I don't think he's totally there yet, but we do have some prospects in the wings that play in the end part of our infield. So we're gonna have to see how things break down. Personally, though, I do think Bryson Stott has the potential of being an all-star player at second base. It's just a matter of not it comes out of him, and he has to produce. And we all know that these guys love each other. I mean, it's a family team, and I know them watching the Eagles win that championship and going down Broad Street when they had an opportunity before they did and just couldn't pull it off. Having a 2-0 lead and losing was very heartbreaking and still very is. But we'll see. We'll see how this team holds up. They're older, should be wiser, and it's just about being disciplined, honestly. And we'll see how things break down, honestly. I'll be watching. I mean, given that this spring training's been up and down, kind of streaky. They had games where they were hitting the ball great, and then some games where they weren't hitting the ball great, and pitching was really bad. But that's only a small microscope of things. Like we're gonna see what really breaks down during the season and what this team is really made of. So we'll really see over time how things break down for the Phillies this year. But opening day is a fun, magical day in baseball. I mean, for the most part, it's a day where collectively fans from every team get to go to a ballpark and enjoy themselves. And that's why opening day is very special. I mean, given that the season's very long and most of these fans don't end up following suit because their team is way out of it. But opening day is really fun. Everybody's at the stadium. It's really cool. And I'm glad baseball's back. And I'm really hoping for this team. Like I said, I know the window of winning a championship is getting very, very, very small.